All right, America, it's time for the Ringside Wranglers Wrestling Report, Dirt Sheet, with your hosts, Kansas and Jack Jaw.
What's up, wrestling fans? I'm Jack Jaw with the Ringside Wrangler Wrestling Report. We are the Dirt Sheet, covering the dirt from pro wrestling nationwide. Welcome to the Dirt Show, Dirt Sheet. What's up, Haz-Bin?
That was a pretty good intro there. Boy, I thought you were going to do some Godfather, pimping hoes nationwide. I thought you were kind of going there for a second. I like that. That's an exciting intro there.
We're not pimping anybody, man. We're pimping dirt. We're pimping dirt. This week, this show on the dirt, what we got this week, we've got See You Later Performance Center. I'm not sure anybody's going to miss that place. We got people thinking the grass is greener in the AEW. We've got a story on Mr. Nice Guy, Triple H. Didn't see that one coming. We got a creep alert. Creep alert. We've got the UFC to WWE. What are you going to think about that when that goes down? We've got no rest for the pay-per-views. Not going to believe what the WWE is going to do this week, next week. Then we've got a wife and husband possibly joining forces. Then we've got Goldberg. And I'm going to say it's more like gold dust because it's been there, done that, has been. Don't need it. Goldberg in the news. Then we've got wrestling fans actually being able to buy tickets to a show. That's going to be crazy. And then we got Vince. Everybody loves it when Vince gets blasted. This week he gets blasted by what we would want to call them as talent enhancement. So it's even better. Either way. Somebody saying bring back Haz-Bin. There is Haz-Bin. Greet your fans, Haz-Bin.
Hello, fans. I'm Haz-Bin. Good to have you. Glad to see you. I still watch the WWE Network even in the pandemic. I watched stuff 20, 30, 40 years ago. I'm sorry that Kamala passed away. Not the stupid-ass Kamala that's trying to be a Democratic group. We're not going to even worry about that. That's retarded. That's a whole different subject. I'm talking about the real Kamala. Sorry that he passed away. My condolences to his family. Tremendous athlete. Mid-South wrestling legend. Big fan of his. Hey, one thing you didn't mention, maybe we're going to get to it. I don't mean to bust your bubble on it, but the Four Horsewomen.
Four Horsewomen?
Ronda Rousey's version of the Four Horsewomen made their appearance on Raw Underground this past Monday. Not Charlotte Flair's version of the Four Horsewomen. So that was pretty cool to see them.
Well, maybe I don't have that in the news, but we can cover that at the end if we circle back. Some comments already. Home invasion at Sonya Deville, we got a story on that one. Then somebody talking about Renee Young release. We got something on that one too. So welcome to the show. Welcome to the Dirt Sheet. We got the dirt. First out of the gate. Who's excited about this? Everybody's saying see you later, Performance Center. Last week we reported on the WWE signing the deal with the Orlando Amway Center, home of the Orlando Magic. Looks like they've got a deal to be in the Amway Center through October. This week, they're debuting the Thunderdome. This is going to be sweet. They've got all kinds of craziness going on with LED screens, virtual thing. Tonight, they're doing a demo of it. They're going to have a match. Not going to show it to anybody. Just going to see how it's going to go. Tomorrow, it debuts on the SmackDown Thunderdome on SmackDown. Check it out. There they are, getting ramped up. They're moving in to the Amway Center. What you think about that?
Let me press the Kansas button real quick. Hey, the Thunderdome. What the hell? What is it? Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome? What the hell's going on here? I don't understand what it's all about. Oh, you know what? Now I'm gonna go back to my Has-Been gimmick. I wanted to tell you something. They one of the cable channels is, I think it's History Channel or Discovery or somebody. They're doing all this stuff on Monday where they got all these legends and like MTV and Ozzy Osbourne and all, and they have like all this history of their life and all this stuff. And you know when they did the commercial, they had the Hardy Boys music in the background. The Hardy Boys tag team music in the background. I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. Isn't that copyrighted by Mr. McMahon and WWE Music? I wonder if they even know that's happening, because if he found out it's happening, I guarantee he could probably try and get some money out of that. Because that's a pretty cool little tune.
If he knew all the stuff that was happening, he'd probably make hell to pay, because he's into making life difficult on people. How about Eric Bischoff's comment on this new Thunderdome? He said that he's really looking forward to it. Nobody, and he means nobody, can pull things off like the WWE when it comes to live TV. He's super stoked about it. The virtual crowd is going to be realistic, and the talent is going to adjust to that crowd. And I think the morale they're saying, the whatever they're saying about the spirit in the WWE locker room, it looks like it's picking up. They're excited about it. I'm stoked about it. It's going to be pretty cool to check it out. So it's either going to me, it's going to be super, super great or not so much.
All right. So with that being said, let me bring something up that you mentioned, a very good comment a couple of weeks ago. You said this. You had talked about the reasoning on Drew McIntyre being the WWE champion, okay? And you had said that he kind of was getting a raw deal because there's no fans there, and really the fans are the ones that determine whether or not that you're going to get over. So he really hasn't had a chance as champion to wrestle in front of a fan base. So now that even if it's this virtual thing, we'll see how the fans react. Now, if the fans crap on him, so to speak, like a lot of people say they may do, or that people felt they were going to do, maybe that's a reason to put the belt around Randy Orton at SummerSlam.
Could be. Never can tell. I like Drew McIntyre. I hope he hits it off big. And who knows how that interaction is going to be with that virtual crowd. So who knows?
Right.
But hey, somebody commented, said Ender After owns the music. So I don't know about that. So you mentioned earlier about them using that music. So maybe they can sell it out. Hey, everything can be bought for a price. Who said that?
Of course. That would probably be $1 Million Man, Theodore DiBiase.
That's right. Everybody's got a price.
Speaking of dirt,
everybody has a price.
And speaking of dirt, did you hear that his son Ted DiBiase Jr. apparently is getting some hassle by I read they're trying to buy his house or take his house from him because of something. Yeah, that was on Google.
Oh, Google. Oh, you got to trust Google. It was on Google. It's got to be real, man.
Absolutely.
But we're talking about grass being greener on the other side and money. Everybody's got a price. Word out there is Braun Strowman put out there in a comment, not sure if he was just talking off the cuff, but he says, hey, everybody in WWE has talked to AEW about a contract or whatever. They go down the list of this and that or whatever. And they said the only person they could definitively say had not been in any kind of discussion with AEW on a contract, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, I think he is bought and paid for.
He's not going nowhere.
He ain't going nowhere. But look at these guys. We got a couple pictures of people that have come to AEW from WWE. Chris Jericho, he had to put out some comments this week on it. He was like, who would he want to be in AEW? There he is right there. Chris Jericho, a lot thinner days, sporting that Christmas jacket looked like going on. I actually like that look better on Chris Jericho. The slimmer look, the shorter hair. You know, I guess now he's just more dirty, grungy heel, long hair, a little bit fat. You know, who am I to talk about being fat? But either way, I'm not fat. I'm not fat at all. I'm fat PHAT. That's what I am. Yeah. Producer Punk didn't laugh at that. He did think it was too funny. Either way, look at Chris Jericho. Then Chris Jericho said, who do you want to come? Look at this next one. He wants Cesaro. How about that? That would be pretty sweet. There's another one that came from WWE right there. They let him leave, but guess what? Can't take your name. So they own Cody Rhodes. That's why he just goes by Cody. Check out the next one. I think Cesaro is up here. Cesaro, they want him over there in AEW. That'd be pretty sweet. Doesn't look like they already got him.
Yeah, since
FTR.
Since we're spreading dirt, and apparently everybody knows this anyway, because the Saturday AEW show has already been in the can. It wasn't on last night. Wednesday night, it's going to be on Saturday after the NBA playoffs. But since it's already been made, we have a brand new TNT champion, and that would be Mr. Brody Lee, thanks to the help of the newest AEW signee. And a lot of people have been talking about this guy showing up, and he did. And that would be the artist formerly known in WWE as Eric Rowan.
What? You got the dirt there. Rowan shows up, and so he's back with his partner.
He's back with his partner. He helped Brody Lee win the TNT Championship, which you will see Saturday on their AEW show.
Nice. Didn't see
that. We spread the dirt, dude. We spread the dirt, and it's already. I mean, if anybody does any kind of research like you and I do, they know about it. I mean, it's just a matter of time now to see it.
You're just a big spoiler. Either way, go back to that story right there. We've got Cesaro. Check out this dude, Will Ospreay. You remember him? That guy right there. He's highly sought after too.
Yes.
How about this one? Ibushi, Kota Ibushi. He's like a high flyer. Everybody wants him. Jericho wants him in AEW. That would be pretty sweet. And then, of course, for whatever reason, they want Ricochet. I guess Ricochet is athletic in the ring. They want those high flyers guys. You know, they pitch the way that show starts off with the guys flying all over the place. Ricochet would fit perfectly into that. Next up on the dirt sheet, check this one out. Ricochet. No, there's Ricochet right there. Next on the dirt sheet, we got Triple H being a nice guy. Do you hear about this one? Satsuki Blackheart, her car was stolen with all of her wrestling gear in there.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, when I'm reading the article, I'm thinking, oh, you know, when they say Mr. Nice Guy Triple H, I'm thinking, oh, he bought her a new car or something like that. Something cool like that. That would be cool. And they're calling him a nice guy because he went to props and costumes and got them to remake her helmet. I think you're going to have to work a little bit harder to get the title of nice guy for doing that. That was a big deal, saving his butt, making his show look good. I don't know.
I read that she did get all of the things that were stolen or returned to her. Yeah.
So big deal. I mean, but the storyline was Mr. Nice Guy Triple H. I'm going, does suck to get your car stolen. I guess it got stolen in Orlando, about where everybody's staying. Next up, we got a creep alert. Creep alert. Sonya Deville. Not sure if you saw this over the weekend. Some wacko been stalking her online or whatever, finding out where she lives. The sucker drives all the way from South Carolina. Are you serious? South Carolina. Look at that dude right there. What a creep. Drives from South Carolina, cuts his way through a patio screen, comes in. Sonya Deville and her partner. I don't know if you want to call it a partner, but I think it was Mandy Rose that was at her house. The two of them hear it, and they leave and call the police and say, hey, go back to our house. Somebody's in the house. This creep right here gets discovered. Guess what? He gets charged with armed burglary of a dwelling, attempted armed kidnapping, and criminal mischief. That guy's going to the can for just being stupid.
You see, this is all about the damn social media, man. The damn social media. She ends up, and it's a horrible thing that happened to her, don't get me wrong, but she actually is staying in a home, and her roommate, if you will, is Amanda Rose. No, I thought they were supposed to have a hair versus hair match against each other at SummerSlam, and yet they're staying in the same house together as roommates, okay? And also, Braun Strowman, they talked to him about his career, and he talked about people who he really was good friends with, and he talked about, you know, the so-called the newest member of the Wyatt family. Maybe everyone thinks that she may be the newest member, being Sister Abigail. You know, she's really good friends with her. And then he said that his absolute best friend, in fact, this guy's son is Braun Strowman is the godfather of this guy's son. And that would be none other than Wyndham Rotunda, a.k.a. Bray Wyatt. I thought they were supposed to have a big match at SummerSlam. So you got two people that are really, really close to each other in separate matches against each other. So that damn social media just ruined everything. These people really don't hate each other. They're really good friends. A lot of them are very close friends, but yet they're going to be battling against each other at SummerSlam. Damn social media. You ruined everything.
You ruined it all, just like you ruined it, giving it away what happens this week on AEW. But either way, social media, I mean, just come on, man. Keep that stuff on the down low. Next up, check out this one. We got rumors. There's Sonya Deville right there. What does she say there? I don't care what anyone says. Darla is, there he is. That's some of the dude, the wacko jobs post on social media. So they catch the guy, then they look up his track record on social media. Dude.
And he basically, I read that he wanted to kidnap both of them so they wouldn't be able to make their highly publicized event scheduled for this weekend, which would be AKA SummerSlam. Since they're both going to be in the match together, he kidnaps them both. They can't have a SummerSlam match. That was his goal, from what I read.
All I'm saying is it looks like Sonya Deville would have taken that guy.
Oh, my God. Hell, yes, she would have. Sonya Deville, you can say what she wants, but she's a legitimate MMA athlete. She's still badass. I guarantee you she would have smoked that dude in 2 seconds flat.
Yep, no doubt. Next up, we got a WWE UFC connection coming down. After Daniel Cormier lost his title rematch last week in UFC, looks like he's done, and it looks like WWE's coming after him. I know he's going to comment. He's going to be a commentary person, but I don't think that that's what they're bringing him in for. Wouldn't surprise me at all if they go right there. They seize the opportunity that UFC did not do because Brock didn't want to go back to UFC. He's making too much money in WWE. But watch that doesn't happen at a WrestleMania right there. Brock Lesnar, Cormier, which to me would be a serious letdown. I mean, come on. I mean, UFC is one thing. WWE is another. They're both entertaining, just two different things. But that match was meant for UFC, not in a wrestling match. What's your take on that one?
I somewhat agree with you, but from a monetary standpoint, it's a good thing to do. I mean, if you notice a lot of these wrestlers now, I mean, the whole thing about Raw Underground, all this Raw Underground stuff is this MMA style thing. You're in a mat with no ropes on it, and basically you win by choking people out or making them submit, and that's what they've been doing. Hey, speaking of that, I've always been if anybody knows me in the Haz-Bin gimmick, in the Kansas gimmick, I've always been a fan of the Dolphin. Always been a fan of the Dolphin. That would be Dolph Ziggler, Nick Dinsmore from Kent State University. He's going in there, and now you're really seeing what he can do. His amateur, if you watch him when he gets in those underground fights, he's doing a lot of his work from the hips, which any amateur wrestler would tell you. I know my man, Real Deal Mobile, if he was on there, I know he'd say it. You do a lot of your work from your hips when you're an amateur wrestler, and you notice whenever you see him in the Raw Underground segments, he's doing a lot of hip movements, and he's got the sleeper move where he chokes folks out, and then he's starting to finally get the respect that I've always given him, and it's good to see him get some good television exposure, so to speak, because the dude was always legit. To me, Nick was always legit. I don't call him by his real name. Nick was always legit.
What's the match he's got coming on? They're pitching a match this week for the Underground thing.
Yeah, he's going to be against he beat one of the Viking Raiders, and then the other guy kind of pushed him out the ring, so now he's going to get to fight that guy as well. And he's going to whip his ass too, because, I mean, the bottom line is, I mean, Dolph Ziggler is if you're going to go ahead and talk about his amateur skills for this Raw Underground, then you got to throw all the gimmick stuff out. This dude's hardcore. I've always been a fan of the Dolphin. I always will be a fan of the Dolphin, and I'm glad to see him going in there, and he's doing his amateur wrestling skills. He's using his hips. He's doing everything he was taught in amateur wrestling, and he's beating people's rear ends, and that's all that matters.
So, real quick on that Underground stuff, I'm not really sure. So we're like week 2 into it. This is going to be the third week coming up, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about that whole production quality of that, the way they zip in and out of different camera angles just to add to the appearance, make it look faster and speedier and more intense. That switch camera, this switch camera, switch camera. That's just too much stuff. And it's just, I'm not really a big fan of that right now. They're going to need to do some other stuff, and that just open the way they're on that platform. It's like a ring with no ropes. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of that just yet. They're going to have to do some more stuff, more selling. I'm not a big fan of Shane McMahon's either. He's just pushing it too much. But
if I'm not mistaken, it very well could be. Sure the hell would be the first time. When ECW first started with, like, when they were doing the syndicated programs before they get really, really big. Again, I can remember many years ago, me and my buddy Real Deal, would be going to the bar called Shannon's in Plaquemine. We'd be watching this stuff at 12 o'clock midnight. Everybody else is getting drunk and messed up, and we're sitting there looking at the show on TV. Back then, they used to do all these crazy camera angles, all this stuff like this, just to kind of get you nauseated in a sense, because they were trying to make it like entertaining and the hardcore nature of it. So I'm just assuming that's what they're trying to do. They're kind of going where ECW was way back in maybe 95, 96 before they really got big.
Yeah, I guess they're just trying anything. But either way, that's pretty good. We digress. On to the more dirt. We've got more dirt for you. I'm not really sure the dirt here, but this was kind of shocking to me. Back-to-back pay-per-views with the entire roster. You've got SummerSlam this Sunday. Next Sunday, you have Payback. A week apart. I have no idea what they're hoping to do there. It looks like maybe they could build some crazy story this weekend and then have an immediate, buzz. Because right now, I think there's so much content that WWE puts out there each week that it's kind of like diluting all the stuff they got going on. So you think, why in the heck are they doing another pay-per-view in back-to-back weeks? Apparently, it's just a test or something. Dave Meltzer is reporting on that one. So most of the news we just find on the internet. Dave Meltzer got there. So right there, WWE plans big cliffhanger for SummerSlam, and it's going to lead into Payback. Who knows what happens after that? Vince right there, obviously he's putting a lot of time and effort in the storyline right now. So who knows? Most of the time for a pay-per-view, it takes a couple weeks to build up the card.
Yeah.
And they haven't really mentioned too much of it at all. Payback being the following week. So they're literally going to have to build it up at SummerSlam and then build it up with 2 or 3 shows next week via Raw, NXT / SmackDown. You've also got an NXT pay-per-view Saturday night. So another one of those takeover shows. So what's your take on it? Are you ready for another pay-per-view a week later?
Well, I mean, if you think back in the day when WCW and WWE were actually competing against each other, it would be very common that you would have a WCW pay-per-view one week, WWE the very next week, ECW the week after that. That's how it would normally work. So, I mean, it's happened before, and maybe it is a little overkill, exposure, so to speak. But I think one of the things that really caught my eye was, we're actually in the Gulf South area. We're out of Baton Rouge, where we're doing this from. And there's a couple of storms in the Atlantic that are forecast to come into the Gulf of Mexico and perhaps affect our area as early as next Monday, and then one the very next day on Tuesday. So that's 2 storms within a 24-hour period in the Gulf of Mexico that could affect our area, right? That's one thing. And what am I going? What is this a weather broadcast? No. What I'm trying to say is I'm taking that and I'm mimicking that to Asuka. You got Asuka doing a double shot, wrestling twice against both the women's champions at SummerSlam. Now that shows a lot of respect for Asuka, and I've always said that Asuka and Hikaru Shida are my 2 favorite superstars women-wise, and they always will be. But from that aspect, are you telling me that there's no other women in the WWE besides Asuka that deserves a chance to fight for a championship? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Because that's what it seems like to me.
What they're trying to tell you. Hey, but you know what? When you mentioned back in the day, when you mentioned the WCW, WWE, WWF, and the rotating pay-per-views, you had entirely different cards, entirely different angles.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, they kind of build.
There's not enough angles that I'm interested in right now. I mean, I don't know how they're going to swing something unless it's just crazy what happens this Sunday at Survivor Series. I mean, excuse me, God dog it. SummerSlam. Either way.
Maybe it's going to be a cliffhanger. It may be what you said. It may be what you said about the cliffhanger. It very well may be what you said about the cliffhanger, because you're absolutely right, Jack. You're absolutely right. Normally, if something wild happens like that, they would bleed it over into Raw the next night and then SmackDown later that week, and they have a couple other weeks to lead to the next pay-per-view. But if it is just that gregarious and egregious and the craziest thing you've ever seen in the world, then maybe you do need to have another pay-per-view 7 days later to prolong it. Maybe it will be. See, this is what we're doing right now. We're actually baiting and switching, if you will. WCW used to be a king of back in the day when I used to gripe on my radio programs and hotline reports. But what they're doing now is they're actually kind of baiting you in to watch SummerSlam on Sunday to see what's going to happen, if anything does happen, that is going to cause you to have to go another 7 days later to have another pay-per-view instead of just having your Raw and your SmackDown programs, take it from there. But you're absolutely right. I mean, to only have 7 days to build angles for another pay-per-view, it's not really a lot of time. It's not. And you are absolutely correct. WCW, WWE, whenever they would do their stuff a week apart, I mean, it's two different companies, 2 different storylines, different superstars. You're absolutely right.
Yep. Next up on the dirt sheet, we've got this rumor. Looks like this may be legit. This is the husband and wife that may join up, become a force in the AEW. Renee Young, it looks like she's going to be out after this weekend. It looks like she's told the WWE she's getting ready to leave. Somebody commented earlier that she was released. I can't imagine her being released. She probably just said, hey, my time is done. But either way, look at her career. She joined the company in 2012. She started with NXT. She came up because she was smart. She had charm. She was quick wit, whatever. 2018, she was the first female full-time announcer. There she is with her husband, Dean Ambrose / John Moxley. So who would have thought that this is going to happen? Going to AEW, some people are saying yes, some people are saying no. Who knows? She could be doing the whole route where she's trying to have children. Who knows what's going to go on with her? But either way, I think it'd be cool if she showed up in AEW, because AEW probably needs some voice talent. What you think? Yeah,
and again, they're saying that apparently she wants to write a cookbook, and that very well may be true. But I knew this. Anytime that you work for a rival company, it never really works out that well. I know Matt Hardy had some issues with it whenever Reba Sky was doing the Impact and wherever else she may be in Ring of Honor, whatever case she was with. But I think the writing was on the wall, even though he didn't mean to do it. But whenever she was doing that, the Tuesday night show, and John Moxley, Dean Ambrose kind of made a cameo appearance when that dog was barking, and he came and picked the dog up and had a little fun with it. Didn't tell her about it. She didn't know about it. And I know she kind of got slapped on the wrist about that. And I'm just kind of thinking maybe that's what the straw that broke the camel's back and started all this. But anytime that you are involved with someone else, and it goes back. I mean, you've got Dr. Britt Baker, who I'm still a big fan of, no matter what gimmick I play. I'm a big fan of her, but, she's married or at least engaged or married to our your boy
on NXT champion.
Yeah, on NXT.
Adam Cole.
And then you've got one of your iconics.
Yeah.
She's dealing with one of your guys that's a Tully Blanchard.
Perfect 10.
Yes. So see, you got this going on, and I don't know how well that's going to work. So whenever you involved with someone that's with a rival organization, and sometimes it doesn't work out that well, especially for Renee Young, because she's, again, you're right. She was is a very talented Canadian broadcaster. Had a lot of respect, still has a lot of respect. It only makes sense that she goes to AEW because, I mean, she made lots of comments when she was watching John Moxley at the pay-per-views, like whenever he was doing those crazy spots where he would be doing the Terry Funk Mick Foley stuff where he's doing backflips on barbed wire and all this, and she was freaking out, and she'd be posting stuff on Twitter and Facebook. So, I mean, it's obvious she cares about her husband. They really are married. It's not a gimmick. They really are married in real life, and it only makes sense that she goes with him. And I guarantee you they'll pick her up. It makes perfect sense.
Oh, no doubt. But let me end this piece of dirt. There has been no official statement from Renee Young or WWE, so this is just purely conjecture and rumor at this point. But it's one of those stories that stands to reason it'll probably go down this way. Next up, more news, more dirt. Goldberg was in the news this week. It's just when I read this, I'm going, really? You knew that he didn't have a good ending with Vince. Vince didn't like the way he didn't want to bow down and give the title up to Braun at WrestleMania whenever that happened. So you knew that he got the heat for that one. But then you dig a little deeper and you find out where this story came from. Did you see where this story started? Look at this cat on this next one. None other than Jim Cornette started this. I don't know about you, but that guy, he's been around too long. I like him as a heel manager or whatever. But when he starts inserting his commentary on stuff, he gets in trouble. And it's just, I don't know. It's just, where did this story start? But either way, it was quickly squashed by Cody. Cody said, none of that's happened. None of that is true. And then, you think about it even any longer. You start thinking Goldberg. Right there, that right there was the symbol of Goldberg not wanting to follow the storyline. And they were so frustrated with him. None other than Vince Russo had to take him out. This goes back to 2001 when Goldberg was riding high, long streak, whooping everybody, and there's Vince Russo putting him back in his place. Vince Russo was hilarious. That was a great character, great dude in wrestling. But either way, Goldberg, he's not going to AEW. No way. He's still under contract with WWE. But it was funny to read. Caught your attention. You look at it for a second, and then once you started thinking about it, you said, ain't no way. And if you really think about it, that's not a good move anyways for AEW. They've got enough up-and-coming talent. Why put that in there? And if you look at it, you look at Goldberg's record, his last few fights, he lost to Braun Strowman in a fight that he was mad that he had to lose to him. He had the big squash win over The Fiend, but then he lost to Brock Lesnar. I don't know. I'm just not impressed with Goldberg at this stage in his career. If he did something else, maybe a run-in or something that was real short-lived, but as far as a week-in, week-out performer, somebody says they love Cornette. Cornette was great in the day.
That's my boy.
That's your boy, Barrett James?
That's my boy, the real deal Mobile, and he knows how I feel about it. Jim Cornette, Clover Cornette, Heyman Hustle, Paul Heyman, when Jim Ross was doing his grilling with JR stuff and Shivani was doing his stuff. Sometimes I like when these guys kind of shoot on stuff because they more than anybody else know how the business works. You can't fool those guys. They grew up in this business. And sometimes it's good to hear Paul Heyman talk about stuff and Cornette talk about stuff and JR and Schiavone, because they were there. Whenever I was a young punk snot-nosed kid watching this stuff in the 80s and 70s, they were doing it. So sometimes I do like when they do stuff like that. I would have to agree with them 100%.
Yeah, but man, just when they would just something that's so outlandish. I mean, go for somebody else. Say somebody else's name. Say that Rowan's going to do something that's relevant. Goldberg's not relevant.
Well, Goldberg did say, I read that he wants to have six more matches, which means it's 2 matches for over a 3-year span. Two matches a year for 3 years. He'll get his 6 matches like that. That's what he wants to do. And I do know for a fact that he has some real life beef with Roman Reigns. Don't know if that's going to do him any favors, because like you said, Roman Reigns is pretty much their go-to guy right now. I mean, he's sitting out of respect because of his health and his family's health. Totally agree 100% with that, with this COVID-19 garbage. Whenever all this ends, if it ever does end, he'll come back. And, he and Goldberg aren't exactly eye to eye, and Goldberg's not going to win that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, either way, I was happy that story was not true.
Yeah.
AEW does not need to waste their time there. All right, next up on the dirt sheet, you've got AEW. We talked about it last week, but it looks like they're actually going to be selling tickets. They got approval to sell to 10 to 15% of the crowd. You can actually buy tickets online to attend the 27th. There's a Dynamite show on August the 27th. That's going to air on TNT. So if you look at 10 to 15%, the venue that they play at or they've been performing at, the Daily's Place, that's about a 5,000 to 6,000 seat venue. So you're talking 600 to 800 fans are going to be allowed in there. I thought that would be cool. If I lived in the area, I would certainly be all over that. Ticket's only $30, by the way. So either way, I'm happy to see that people can actually buy tickets to an event and go to it. That's going to be awesome.
And the crowning jewel for them is that Daly's Place, which is actually like a outdoor facility, and it really is next to the Jacksonville Jaguars football stadium. Obviously, the Jaguars owner is in charge of AEW, only makes sense. But Daly's Place is predominantly an outdoor arena. So when you're thinking about that and COVID being, and I'm going to put on my safety hat now from a real life job, with COVID being an airborne virus and you're outdoors, you have a much better chance of fighting it with the outdoor facility than having a roof over your head. So yeah, you can do the 6-foot social distancing outdoor arena. It's great.
Yeah. So either way, that's good news right there. There it is. Tickets go on sale tomorrow, only $30. I guess that's probably going to sell out pretty quick. I would guess.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Next up and last on the dirt sheet this week, this is what we got, the enhancement talent from WWE. Kurt Hawkins, who is Mr. Jobber of the Day in WWE, losing. Didn't he have a streak where he lost like 200 matches in a row?
Yeah, he did.
Well, now he's over in Impact. He's going by the name Brian Myers. And get this, you would think he's relevant because he mentions Vince's name. There he is right there. And it was pretty funny what he had to say about him. But the funny thing was his first match in Impact, he loses. But now he's got a little angle going on with Willie Mack. But I thought it was pretty funny to see what he said. He said, you know what? His talent was never utilized. And his quote is, "It disgusts me that major decisions in the business are being made by an out-of-touch 70-year-old man in some goofy production meeting."
Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon.
That is probably a very accurate statement. Vince, I don't think he's quite the Jerry Jones of professional wrestling, but some of it has passed him by. As evidence, the production quality up until now, hopefully the Thunderdome will take it to a new level. But the production quality that's week in and week out compared to AEW is definitely second rate. So maybe it was somebody else. Maybe it was Bruce Pritchard or somebody like that was making all the shots on all this stuff. But either way, the angles that they were doing the last 2 weeks on Raw was kind of cool with that. What's the group that's tearing things up and attacking the crowds or attacking the TV production crew?
Is it Revolution, I think?
Yeah, Revolution. Those guys. That's a pretty cool little angle they got going on there.
But I kind of was reading that. I was reading some stuff over the weekend, or last weekend, this weekend, and you think about it. What they're doing, NWO did it. The Four Horsemen did it. DX did it. The Nexus group did it. So this has already been done before. And I know what their gimmick is. They want to get these people, and there are a couple of them are ladies because you can see by their hairstyle. They want to get these athletes that are no longer in NXT now, that they're kind of putting it somewhere for them, and they're finding a place for them at home so they can make their way to Raw and SmackDown at some point when the masks come off. And it is fun. But when you come out there with like chainsaws and start going through ring ropes and punching people in the face and all, and some of it's a little over the top. Yeah, it's just a little over the top. That's all.
Yeah. And then the whole production, TV cameras going out, black, white, whatever.
No, like the thing about the lights dimming and all that stuff, and I think it's kind of cool. I like that. I mean, they had been doing that for a long time. Yeah. But because the Fiend, the whole thing with the Fiend, with the red lights and that eerie screaming music in the background and all, man, it's all, a lot of it's entertainment and it's cool. But if you kind of, and this is just me speaking, if you do it a little bit too much, it kind of loses its taste. It's kind of like whenever you boil crawfish or seafood too long, it don't taste right. So it's kind of like that.
And the other funny thing about that Myers / Kurt Hawkins story was he was also pissed because when he was let go back in April because of the pandemic, his wife was 6 months pregnant and he had nothing to go to. So another one of those guys taking a shot at the McMahons, fire him under duress in a bad situation. But I guess, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Everybody's going to have something to complain about.
All I can tell you is this, and this is me speaking, take it for what it's worth. Tell you for what it's worth, okay? Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder, they're both respectfully in a better place. Brody Lee, Eric, and who's our guy? I just spoiled it for Saturday. Eric Rowan and Brody Lee, they're in a better place. Jericho's in a better place. Matt Hardy's in a better place. These guys are in a much better place. With Eric Rowan showing up and helping Brody Lee, the first thing they're going to think about is they probably will have another Wyatt family reunion, which they very well could do. It'd be perfect to do it.
We may have some dirt from the
it'd be perfect to do it.
The cliffhanger.
It'd be perfect to do it. And then you got you got CM Punk's buddy from Chicago. He needs to get with that group too. They already got a female in the group, so things are working out well for them. AEW is really coming on strong. I've always said that. I'm a big fan of AEW. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Either way, this has been the Dirt Sheet. We come to you whenever we get some dirt that's cool. We got dirt all the time. We got good dirt. We got bad dirt. We got sticky dirt. This week we had a mixture of all of it. I'm Jack Jaw. This is Haz-Bin. Kansas is on sabbatical a little bit because somebody commented that Kansas sucks. So far today, nobody has said Jack Jaw sucks. I don't suck.
Nope.
I don't suck. I bring the news. I bring the dirt. We are the Ringside Wranglers. Check you out. Thank you, Producer Punk, for great production quality as always. See you next time on the Dirt Sheet.